All right, so we have our first test of the fourth quarter tomorrow. It is going to cover lessons 6.5, 6.6, 7.1, 7.2. There will be 15 questions. From this lesson, the first 5 questions of the test will say multiply. Okay, it will not specify if we're foiling or not, so that will be up to you to realize that when it's a binomial, you're going to foil. But if you just remember, you just need to do distributive property for every problem, that might simplify things. You can use your quiz to study. There will not be any questions like the first page of the quiz. You will not have any monomial times a monomial, but you will have monomials times a polynomial, like for example, questions 7 through 12, or even 4 through 6. You won't have questions like 1, 2, and 3. Nothing that basic. Now, I will not give you the boxes, so it's just going to have the questions like they're written in 7 through 12. But for example, if you have a question like number 4, all you're doing is distributive property on these. So you would distribute the 4 to the x and 4 to the 5. I'm sorry? You don't need to do 1, 2, and 3. That was on the quiz, but you will not have any of these on the test. Those were easy. You just multiplied the coefficients and then added the exponents. The quiz for the multiplication part is all distributive property. Okay? So that would be example of number 4, where you're just distributing the 4. For number 5, we have 3x, and then we're going to distribute that to x plus 8. So I'll distribute it to the x, and I get 3x squared. Then I distribute it to the 8, and I get 24x.
That's it?
That's it. Okay?
It's not, it was 4.
Yeah, you're going to have like 4 numbers in that.
All right. Now let's try number 6. Okay, now I've got 3 numbers, but I'm still just distributing. So 2x, x squared minus 6x plus 3. I'm going to distribute first the 2x to the x squared. And then the 12, now it becomes 12x squared. And then the last one becomes 6x. Now, which one? Okay. The next one, this is FOIL, but if you don't like to FOIL, just distribute. Okay? Questions like 13 through 18. I will not give you the boxes. Okay? All it's going to say is multiply, and then the problem looks like this. So for example, if I did number 13, you're going to FOIL or distribute, whichever. Some people don't like the acronym FOIL, but it's the same thing as distribute. So x times x, which is first, x times negative 5, 4 times x, and then 4 times negative 5. You will always be able to group the middle 2 terms. Okay? X squared minus x minus 20. We're just doing distributive property. No, I just crossed off the boxes. Okay? So, see, I labeled it up here. This is number 13. I crossed off the boxes. I'm not providing boxes. I'm just going to give you the 2 binomials.
But I got x to the 2nd power.
Okay?
Plus 5.
Okay, when you distribute the x to this, it's a negative 5. I know it looks like subtraction, but that is a negative 5.
And then you did the after, so it's outer inner, so it's plus 4x.
Yes?
And then after inner, you do minor, right?
You're going to do last.
The last.
Oh, you already did inner. Okay, outer, inner, and now last. When you FOIL, FOIL, you will have two middle terms that you're going to try to combine. You will combine like terms on foiling. Everybody understand the FOIL process or the distributive process? All right.
So can we just use it like how the boxes are? Or there's not the boxes?
You can do it the way the boxes are, yes. All right, so one more. If I did number 14, the problem is x minus 2, x plus 8. So again, first, outer, inside or inner, and then last. You'll be able to group the middles, and there's your answer. So just take your time, watch your signs. 6, 6 was the same thing, okay? Now, I'm not going to give you this. I'm just going to either say, give it to you like this, where it's the same thing repeated, you're just foiling, or I'm going to give it to you with an exponent. But then when it's an exponent, like number 4, all you do is write it 2 times. And now distribute or FOIL. So x times x, x times 7, 7 times x, and 7 times 7. And then combine the 2 middle ones, the like terms, and you're done. The second page of this lesson, notice the problems. Again, I'm not going to give you the fill in what the square is of this and that. Again, just take the problem, either distribute or FOIL. First, outer, inner, and last. This one, the middle terms are going to cancel because they're opposite signs. Okay, 7-1, this is where we learned how to find the greatest common factor. I am not going to ask you to demonstrate the ladder method. I am going to ask you to give me the prime factorization. You will have 2 factor trees. So you will have to show me the tree. So for example, on number 4, where the number is 99, we will start with 2 numbers that'll multiply to give me 99. Everybody could have different answers because some people could start out with 3 times 33. Somebody else might say, well, I'm going to do 9 times 11. But the bottom row will be the same because you have to keep going until it's prime. Okay? So you will have 2 factor tree questions. All right, everybody good on that? Okay. You can also write your answer with exponents. Okay? I would accept either answer. All right?
My story, don't give us big numbers.
All right. All right. You will also have,
Wait, no, I'm not done.
okay, next one. I am going to give you 2 questions where I'm just going to give you numbers and ask you to find the greatest common factor. Then I will give you another question where it's going to have a variable with it.
Can you do like a problem with each?
Oh, variables like that. Can you do that?
I will do one of each here. All right. So for number 10, the greatest common factor between 15 and 20, okay, is going to be 5. Now you can either do a factor tree. All right. For the greatest common factor between 15 and 20, you can either do a tree or you can do a list. Some of you have gotten very good at this and you can just look at it and know what it is, and that's fine. Now for the variable questions, for 4A and 10A, we would first look for the greatest common factor between the number part, and we can see that that's going to be 2. And then we're going to look to see if they both have the same letter, which they do, and then you look for this lower exponent. This one, it's the same, so we will just put 2. 2A.
So what's it like 10, 8, 5, 8? It would be 2.
All right, so if it's 10a and then 5a to the fifth, like that,
Yeah.
okay? So it would be 5, but then the variable, you look for the lower one, and it would just be 5a.
That's all you do. Do you have to show work for that?
No.
Wait, so,
Wait,
so
before
Yes.
what would be like a problem where like the variable would have an exponent?
All right, let's say we had 6a squared and 15a to the fifth. What would be my greatest common factor first between 6 and 15? 3. And then of my a's, which one's lower?
2.
The 2, so the a squared. So that's your answer,
So the lowest one would just be
the variable. Yes, Kylie.
If there was like 2 separate things in the same lesson, and you gave 2 different tricks for them, and like the second trick you gave, like what was that? What are you doing there? And what does that look like?
That was for the other lesson. That was for the,
Doing that lesson?
that was 6-6. That was, I don't recommend you do the trick for that. I just recommend you FOIL or distribute.
Yeah, but it was like,
Where you square the numbers, I wouldn't,
no, not that. It was the other one.
I don't know, I'd have to go back and look. I just recommend when you're doing the other 2 lessons, just FOIL or just distribute. Just basically distribute, because I saw some people who tried to do the trick and it messed them up. Because there's 2 tricks and the problems look similar. So just distribute. Yes, Talisa.
if you're hashing the work like for the number 10, so if you did the tree thing, it would be like 2 times 5 and 5 times 4. Do you just circle what's the biggest between them two?
So you would find, no, you would find the ones in common. So 3 times 5. And then here, this would be 4 times 5. But then you'd have to do 2 times 2 times 5. And then you can see the only thing that's in common in both is the 5. And then you would look for the smaller one. So it's 5. So you only look for the numbers that they both have. Make sense? All right. Then also from this lesson, no, that was it. So all you have to do from this lesson is find a greatest common factor and the factor tree. Then this was the homework we just went over. You will have questions where I'm either going to give you a binomial or it'll be a trinomial. And you look for the greatest common factor between all the terms and then divide it. So you will have questions that look like this whole page. You will even have one of the easy ones here where it's already got the answer right here. It's the x plus 7, and then you just take the 2 things that are outside. So this answer is just 5x plus 2,
Number 5 also has
and then x plus 7. I'm sorry?
Number 5 also has this.
Yes. So you would do the same thing on that. So you'll have one like that.
Oh, never mind.
So when it's already set up like this, where they've already found the GCF and factored it and made these things look the same, then you just take one of them when it's the same, put it here, that's your GCF, and then take the 2 things outside.
Oh, and both of the questions are the same?
Yes, that's all you do.
Can you do the one?
Okay, number 1, you will have a question like this. It could be a binomial, it could be a trinomial. But my greatest common factor, again, between 20 and 15 is 5. They both have the letter X.
Have you used the numbers on the outside?
I'm sorry?
When they're the same, when they're already the same?
You just take the 2 outside numbers and put them in a parenthesis.
Oh, so it doesn't matter which one you put it.
It doesn't matter which one goes first.
Okay.
So here I put this.
Said there wasn't gonna be this.
So can you just put like, alright.
All right, so then here, yes.
Like, for number 5.
Okay, so for number 5, what you're doing is, see how the x plus 4 is the same in both?
Yeah.
You write that one time, and then take the 2 things that are outside, and that gets grouped together in a parenthesis. This one you don't solve. It's already been factored for you.
What about number 4?
Number 4 is the same thing. See how the x plus 7 is the same? You write it once, and then take the 2 things that are outside. No, you could put the x plus 7 first. And then you will have 2 questions where you will have to factor by grouping, where it's not done for you. I'm not going to give you all these little boxes. But again, this is where, when I taught it, I did the red group and the blue group. So make a red group.
The instructions are gonna say factor by grouping.
Yes, they do. So you would group, and then here I would look for my greatest common factor of red, which is going to be 3x squared. Divide it, and I get 7x plus 4. And then here of the blue group, it's going to be 2. And then 7x plus 4. Now it looks like those problems on the other page where I have the same thing, right? You write that once. Exactly. Plus 2. And you're done. So 15 questions, 5 are multiply, the rest come from chapter 7, the factor trees, finding the GCF, and then finding the GCF and factoring.
Are they gonna be like super long?